Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds. Hey everyone.
Hello, America.
I'm Tom Ryman.
I'm David Bell.
I'm America. I'm Adam Todd Brown.
America Todd Brown.
And we just watched Halloween.
Halloween.
The movie.
2018, we have to specify.
Yes.
Several
there
films
are
called
three
Halloween.
of them.
2018's Halloween.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On Halloween 1963 in Haddonfield, Illinois, 6-year-old Michael Myers murdered his own sister in cold blood. But it was 15 years later, on Halloween 1978, that the legend of the Myers murders was born. Having escaped protective custody, Michael returned to Haddonfield, where he brutally massacred the occupants of a neighborhood home, leaving teenager Laurie Strode as the sole survivor.
All right. What'd you guys think?
I thought this movie was very okay and bad in some places.
Yes. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I didn't appreciate the humor. Like, I get that Danny.
It was incredibly out of place.
I get
This
that Danny
movie-
McBride wrote this, but cut with the jokes. This
Yeah.
is Michael Myers
This-
storming your
The
town.
movie has a fucking 80% across the board on Rotten Tomatoes, critics and audiences.
It's got a lower Metacritic. It's
Okay.
it's like a 62 Metacritic.
Yeah.
It ranged from mildly amusing at times to just boring, and like the characters
And
were bad.
actively bad in some
yeah,
spots.
it reminded
Yeah.
me of a Halloween, one of the sequels in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like one, I'm going back to it. They should have stopped at Halloween H2O.
It's not much better than H2O.
No,
I would say
it's
it
not.
is worse than H2O.
I don't know that it's worse than
I
H2O.
would say that it's worse
I'm
than
not
H2O.
going to go on that journey with you.
I have several reasons
Jamie Lee
why.
Curtis is a little more effectively damaged in this movie, and
Sure,
I like that.
but she has an arc in H2O. In this, she doesn't. And
Nobody
she's
does.
barely a character. And, like, I don't know. And she didn't make any sense. Like, first of all, take it away that she's his sister. Just kind of loses any connection they have. So she's just messed up about it. But if she's so messed up about it, why did she stay in the town that he's in?
Yeah, she builds like a compound. This is where I really gave up on the movie. We see in the beginning there are these two British assholes who are trying to make a podcast. They're trying to do a serial on Michael Myers. Couldn't wait for them to die.
These scenes,
Yeah.
they sit at the grave of, is it Michael Myers'
Sister.
mom or sister?
His sister, the one he murders in the first
And
movie.
start recording their podcast while sitting on her grave.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I forget what. Oh, they go to interview Laurie Strode at her compound. She lives in a fucking Branch Davidian compound in
Right.
the woods of Haddonfield, Illinois. There's a huge gate, like a huge old mechanical gate that you have to come up and buzz yourself in, and then there's cameras all over the place so you can see who it is. And they have to talk to her for a minute to convince her to buzz them inside. And the gate slowly grinds open like an old medieval drawbridge.
because they offer her $3,000.
Because they offer
Right.
$3,000 in cash, which, yeah, I would, I'll talk to you about your goddamn podcast for $3,000. And then they drive, down a trail to her house that has a huge cage on the front door. Again,
Right.
surrounded with cameras, and she has to look out at them. She undoes this elaborate series of locks and a crossbar in front of the door, opens it up, and there's still a cage in between them. And they're like, are you going to let us in? And then she has to do a couple other locks to open the cage and let him in.
Yeah.
The reason I went through all of that
Right.
is because when Michael Myers storms her compound at the end, he just sends a police car straight through that big wrought iron gate, and the cage in front of the front door disappears.
Right.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
the whole movie is leading to her having this plan. Her plan is to turn off all the lights and make it scary in her place, and then hunt for Michael Myers while being scared.
Yeah.
And goes into her mannequin room because that's something you'd have.
Yeah, you want a room
Like-
full of creepy mannequins when you're worried
She
about
collects
figures in the
mannequins so
night.
that she can shoot them out
Right.
behind her house.
Keep them outside.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You
you
don't
don't
live in the
need
house.
those. Yeah. That reminded me of that other fucking movie, Lights Out, where there's a scene in that where the characters walk into a room full of mannequins, and it's just like, okay, so this only exists because it's a horror film, and like,
I liked Lights Out better than this.
Ooh,
yeah,
I don't know about that.
I'll
Lights
put
Out
them
was
on the
very,
same.
very bad.
yeah,
This
they're
at
about
least,
equal to me.
This at least had some entertaining murders in it.
Yeah, but not even enough.
You didn't see them.
Not qu- not quite enough.
There were all these murders that happen off camera.
Yeah,
And it's like, that's not how this is supposed to fucking work, man.
Here's the most egregious thing about the murders, in my opinion, is that Laurie Strode's granddaughter, Allison, goes to the Halloween party with her douche canoe boyfriend, who's a douche canoe, and like makes out with some other girl right in front of her, and then
Right.
is like drunken and belligerent, and is like, being a stereotypical trash goblin.
and then he throws her
takes
phone,
her phone and throws it into some custard,
which she does
Which,
not
why did they-
retrieve.
and we never see him again.
Yeah.
Why
I'm
was
like,
there a bowl of custard?
I don't know, but there was one.
Here's what these writers seem like good writers, but all I can think is that they needed her to get rid of her phone, so they wrote an entire character for that one point.
And then don't murder him.
Exactly.
Right.
They don't murder him.
If ever there were anyone who was screaming, Michael Myers is gonna carve the inside of my head like a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It was her douche canoe boyfriend, and we never see him again.
And
after
why
that.
was there a bowl of custard?
I don't know.
Because they needed to get rid of her phone. I don't know why she
Oh, sure.
didn't take her phone out, though. There's a lot of
I
little
don't know why I
moments like
couldn't have
that.
just. Why was it custard and not
It
just
was
punch?
There was
Yeah.
like a custard room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they had to open doors to reveal this bowl of
You're
custard
right. It
for
was
him
separate
to throw
from the party.
Yeah.
the phone in. It was absurd.
It's like, my dudes, a bowl of punch would have nuked the iPhone just
Yep.
as well.
Right.
Why did it have to be custard?
I'm pretty sure Custard wouldn't. I'm pretty
You'd
sure
have
she
a
could
better
retrieve
chance
her phone
if I was given a
and wipe it
choice
off.
to drop my phone into a bowl of custard or a bowl of like punch, possibly with alcohol spiked in it. I would go to the custard every
Yeah.
time.
Every time.
because there's a chance your phone's not going to. Because I've dropped my
Again,
phone in mud before.
Yeah, I'm about to
wasn't
say,
fucked up.
I think there's like a 90% chance that phone was still working.
Right.
Yeah.
Still
That's
completely
like-
operable.
Yeah.
She wanted to get chased by Michael Myers.
Yeah, it seemed that way. But there was a lot of weird little moments like that. Like when Lori is in the house, like when she she closes the house up, puts her daughter in the panic room. They abandon the grandchild at that point. They're just like,
Yep.
she's fine.
Yeah.
No, she's dead already.
Yeah.
Save yourself.
And then she sees Michael Myers outside, so the first thing she does is lean against the door. And it was like, you're just doing this because you're in a horror movie. Then she opens the thing, goes downstairs to like console her daughter, and then just goes right back up.
Yeah.
And it was like, why are you doing these things?
The whole movie is very. There's no structure. It's just
No,
people.
it's a mess.
It's people wandering around.
Yes.
It's Michael wandering around aimlessly. It's Laurie. As soon as she knows shit hits the fan, her character just jumps in her car and just drives back and forth across Haddonfield, listening to the police scanner. It's Will Patton's character who's just driving around.
Right. It's that
And then it's the
psychiatrist
kid-
just randomly becoming crazy. Like,
that was the one funny line in the movie when she meets that new psychiatrist and
Oh,
she
and
goes,
she says-
"Oh, you're the new Loomis."
Yeah.
they should have
was-
looked
that was
directly
funny.
at the
They should have
camera.
looked right. They should have looked right at all of us and said, "Thanks for the $20."
Right. They didn't like. They don't make them.
All
They
of
just.
you spent $20.
It felt like it was another case of they're like, okay, how do we get Michael Myers to this location? And then they just wrote a new character to be
Who
like,
would abduct Michael Myers?
Yeah, who will
Yeah.
abduct him randomly. Like they don't set it up. Nothing about his character indicates that he's going to do that, or that he would. Like he's a fucking therapist. Like they have to make me believe that a therapist at an asylum will suddenly also be insane himself.
Yeah.
Right. I guess they thought it would be a sweet twist, but it just
It just seemed
it's
lazy.
just random.
Yeah, because a good twist is one that when you go back, you're like, oh, I should have noticed that.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, there's no
They
way
have
a character.
Yeah. They have one conversation before that where he's like, I want to know what he's feeling when he murders people. But that's not enough to make me be like,
Yeah.
oh, he's bad. No, it's
Yeah.
just like, no, that sounds like what a therapist, like a psychiatrist would say.
Yeah, and remember that crazy ass line in the beginning when the two piece of shit podcasters show up and they're like, maybe if you sit down with him, he'll talk. It's like, are you actually asking this woman to sit down with Michael Myers
Sit down with
and
Michael
have an
Myers.
interview for your podcast? Like,
Also-
that's not going to happen.
What do people give a shit? Again, I think taking away the brother-sister thing takes away a lot of the significance.
Yeah.
Of, it's just like a crime that happened at some point in the past.
They don't.
And like there were other like kind of survivors of that area. I guess she obviously had the worst time with him. But like they could have interviewed the cops or Loomis if he was still alive, which I guess he's not. But it taking away the sibling thing actually, I think for the idea of a reunion makes it that it's just a weird coincidence that Michael Myers wanders into this town and just meets up with her granddaughter.
I don't think it was taking away the family connection. I think it was forgetting to have there be any significance.
Okay,
like we're
yeah.
never shown that Michael's pursuing Laurie.
Yeah, no,
he just accidentally winds
Well,
up at her house.
They even actively at one point in the movie say, like, because they're talking about Laurie, and it's when these two girls are just walking down the street, and she goes, "So did her brother do all that?" And they're like, "No, that's a myth."
yeah, which I didn't.
It's like,
I
no,
don't
it's
know-
not. That's her brother. I've seen these movies before.
Yeah, they wanted to reboot even the second one, and that because the second one is the one that introduces the sibling
Yeah.
connection. But I thought the reason they were doing that is because they had a good reason to, and it really seems like they just didn't have a reason to.
Yeah.
And again, like I know H2O is like technically speaking, because it's a '90s movie, isn't as well made, I guess, or doesn't have. This one was very well shot, but like structure-wise, broad strokes, it's a way better film, I think, than this one. It like Laurie's character made more sense. What she did after that movie made more sense.
I think
Yeah.
the only
The
thing
connection between them was stronger. She had an arc where she was like scared, and then at the end, she faced her brother.
Yeah. I don't think it was the only thing that made it stronger was they showed that Michael was actively coming after Laurie.
Right,
think
but
it's-
I
'cause
also think
otherwise it's
Laurie
just
having an arc.
randomness.
Laurie having an arc.
That would help because
Yeah.
she's just crazy, and then suddenly she's not, and then she's crazy again, and then like the stuff with her daughter doesn't make any. Her daughter Judy Greer
Right.
doesn't make any sense.
Her daughter was an asshole.
Yeah.
One thing I hate in any movie like this where there's a family member that's obviously damaged by something that happened a long time ago, you always get, and Judy Greer does this in this movie, she looks at Jamie Lee Curtis at one point and is like, "I thought you said you were going to try and get over things that happened in the past."
They say it more than once.
And then
The
like
granddaughter says it to her.
and then like 30 seconds later, she goes, "Well, this is what a lifetime of living under my mom was like." It's like, you let your shit go.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then they're just like, it seemed like they were like, in some interviews have been like, oh, some reviews have been like, this movie shows the aftermath of the slasher. It's like, no, it doesn't.
No.
You have a character that has PTSD, sort of, but then it's like, if you're gonna try to make a movie that's like a commentary on the aftermath of violence, you can't have the person who we're supposed to be like feel it like we're supposed to be like, oh, she sort of ruined her, she lost custody of her daughter, like she's estranged her family because
Yeah.
she lives this agoraphobic, paranoid life. You can't make her correct at the end.
Yeah, you also
Right.
can't make it
Like-
that she like their message is like, yeah, you know how PTSD sufferers all become badasses.
Yeah.
Because again, going back to H2O, she's not a badass in that she's just really fucking scared all the time, and neurotic about her son, and like she's not like becoming Sarah Connor.
And she's seeing him everywhere.
Yeah, and she's seeing him everywhere. Like it's like this version of PTSD is she became fucking cool. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
she
there's a
shoots
way
at
to
mannequins.
you do it. I mean, they
Post-traumatic superpower
Yeah.
disorder.
Am I right?
Yeah.
They still in Terminator 2, they still make Sarah Connor correct.
Well, no,
But-
it works with Sarah Connor because the apocalypse is coming and we know it is.
Right. But
And
she
she
has
doesn't
done
have-
so much damage to the people around her, and it's
Yeah.
still like she's like sort of. I feel like they do have there be more consequence to somebody who just never deals with something in a correct. I don't know. It doesn't feel quite the same, even though on paper it's exactly
I
the
don't
same.
think it's the same because in Terminator 2, this thing is still happening and she's the only one who knows about it,
Mm-hmm.
and she doesn't really have PTSD PTSD. I mean, she has some, but it's not her reliving this thing. It's her preparing for the future.
That's true.
Where this is her like, I'm waiting for him to get out, and everybody's like, well, he's not getting out. Like, it's over. And so that's why it's weird, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
And again,
that is absolutely true.
Why is she still in that town?
Well, here's another thing that bugs me. And it's from the same scene that I was going through where she has to like fucking unpadlock her fortress to let the podcasters in. They're like, he's being transferred. She's like, yep, 7 a.m.
Yeah.
tomorrow. And then we cut to the transfer in the middle of the fucking night.
Oh my God, you're right.
She goes to watch him get on the bus for the transfer and then leaves to go meet her family for her granddaughter's dinner after getting in the honor society. So it's clearly not early morning. It's clearly the nighttime.
Right. So it's just a bad movie. Like this is bad writing.
And they sort of yada yada over how Michael gets the bus has just crashed.
Right.
We see one guard out front and he looks up at this kid and his dad who are going out hunting at like fucking 11:30 at night.
Right.
And he fucking says, I'm missing my dance class for us. So again, it's clearly the evening. It's not morning because nobody has a dance class at 6:30 in the morning. They get out there and there's all the inmates have escaped and they're just kind of wandering around the road. And the dad gets out and the son gets out and he finds a guard that's like in front of the truck who like looks up and he's like, run, and then like dies again immediately. But then like when Will Patton shows up, like the cop is on the side of the road now, like on his back, dead.
Yeah.
And then he gets into the bus and like the crazy new Dr. Loomis is handcuffed somehow, like after having been shot by the little boy. So it's like, and then we just get later, like he briefly says, like the doctor says, it's the bus crashed after Michael took out the guards and the driver. I'm like, how the fuck did he get loose and overcome everybody to crash? Like, you don't omit that part.
Yeah, you don't delete the
Like-
bus scene where Michael breaks free.
Like, how did he get out? Like, I understand he's Superman. We see that he has super strength.
It felt like the idea was that the therapist let him out because he insists on being on the bus. And then, of course, there's he turns bad.
Then maybe show us that.
I was about to say, they don't make it clear. They could do a flashback.
Right, do a flashback if you want to cover it up.
Yeah. They... Oh, God.
The only thing I liked about this movie, I thought they did a good job of capturing the fact that Michael Myers would be an old man by this point.
Oh, yeah, he's super old.
Because they make it clear this is a senior citizen.
Yeah.
And I think in some of the kills, it seemed like it was... Like, he had to bang some of those heads against the wall a few times.
Yeah, that's true.
Really
and
did.
you're not going to get a Michael Myers in his prime. That's going to be a one-bang job, and he's done.
Yeah.
You're right.
But
You're so right.
I kind of liked that, and that's about it.
Yeah.
That was about it.
I liked a couple of the shots. They didn't really... The cinematography, it didn't, like, add to the tension or, like, do anything besides me going, hey, that shot's neat. But there was some neat shots.
Can slasher movies be scary anymore?
I think
so.
Not like this. Yeah, not like this.
I don't think you can take a. I don't think you can take a Michael Myers or a Freddy or a Jason and make them scary.
I want to say like a movie like Creep is technically. Would you call that a slasher?
I was gonna say Hush. I think Hush.
Hush is really
is
good.
pretty scary.
Yeah, Hush feels more like a home invasion, but yeah, I see. It is.
It's
more
a man with
it's
a
more.
mask.
Yeah, it's more tense than this movie ever.
Yeah.
is.
But if you're talking about like a crazy character with a mask,
No, right?
I don't think so. I think they
Yeah.
can still. Here's the question: is were they ever that scary? Like Halloween is scary because,
I remember being
It's a
scared by
lot of-
Halloween the first time I saw it.
well, the moment it stops getting scary for me is when it gets to the climax for that movie.
Yeah,
For me, it was the build up. It was her seeing him from afar. It was the slowly being stalked.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically why I like the movie It Follows as well. So it's like, I think the part of a slasher film that can be scary is the idea that there's this person out there and they're coming for you, and there's nothing you can do about it. But once it gets to the stabby part, then it's just kind of fun. Like it's just an action movie. Where
See, that's what I liked about Hush. And they actually, at one point, they were talking about Mike Flanagan maybe directing a Halloween reboot.
that would have been.
And he was
probably
like,
better.
no, because if I did that, Hush would just be my Halloween
Right.
reboot. And what I like about Hush is he, by making that character deaf, makes it makes it so much more of an intense movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he takes all of those things. Like you can't be like, oh, she would hear that happening.
Right.
And
When he plays with that too in a couple of scenes.
yeah, there's a scene where he just murders a woman while she's
While
like,
she's washing
if
her
she just
dishes.
looked to the right,
Yep.
she would see it. And yeah, I think a movie like that, like you have to think a little harder to make a slasher movie scary
Yeah.
now. And
I would
Danny McBride did not think hard about this
Right.
Halloween movie.
I would say like also like a movie like Green Room is
Yeah.
suddenly it's not so it's scary but it's also tense, and that's one where it's people getting stabbed and cut up and it's really it's really like in these movies when someone gets stabbed you don't feel it, you don't really care, and a lot of slasher movies are like that.
Yeah.
But Green Room didn't made you feel those fucking cuts.
Yeah, you don't laugh at the kills in Green Room.
Yes, you don't.
And in this
Yeah.
movie, I think we laughed quite a bit when
Yeah.
people died.
Pretty much every single time.
Yeah.
When we got to see them die.
When we got to see them die.
Yeah.
Speaking of the fucking not hearing things, the part where she comes home and her boyfriend does the "I'm right beside you" jump scare with the horse. Her boyfriend, who I think has some sort of condition, who's like wearing like a weird hat all
His
the
condition
time.
is he's the lead singer of the Spin Doctors.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, he's like nobody exists that's like this person.
No, this character is out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of very 90s moments, not in a good way. One being that there was those fake out jump scares a lot. Of like, hi, I'm your friend.
It was just
Yeah.
the one that I remember.
There was the babysitter jumping out of the kid, who was the only good part of this movie for me, was the kid she was babysitting.
Yeah, that kid was fun.
Yeah. And
I was like,
I
I
thought
would-
there was one other.
I was about to say I would have liked just a whole movie about that house, and I'm like, oh, they made that. It's the babysitter.
right.
Yeah. And even that scene, like, why did they put that closet scene in the fucking trailer?
Right. That was
The
probably
only-
the
Because
best
it
scare.
ruined that scene.
Yeah.
The two parts that could have been scary were the service station
Yeah.
and that closet.
Yeah.
And they ruined them both
they
in the
also-
trailer.
They ruin it within the film because they make it like a comedic thing where she's going to the bathroom in the background. You can see Myers just beating a guy.
Beating the shit
Yeah.
out of a guy in the back.
Would you guys? I would argue that the scene in H2O where Michael Myers has to switch cars, it had more tension than that one.
No.
Oh, I would say that had more tension. Neither have very much tension, but I would say that the woman and her child, who's vulnerable, and it's all from their perspective of just going to this empty station and him switching the car.
But he doesn't
Was
do
more-
anything to him.
No, he doesn't. I'm not saying either scene was good. I'm saying that scene I think had more tension to me.
Yeah.
I don't
Really?
know.
I like the teeth in the bathroom scene.
Yeah,
I
teeth
thought that
was-
was cute.
If it hadn't been spoiled by the trailer, it would have
Yep.
it would have set up nicely because you see that the attendant has had his fucking jaw
Yeah.
ripped off.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah, that really bothered me because that closet scene could have been good. The bathroom scene would have
Yeah.
been good, but
right,
we knew it
they're
was happening.
they're teasing you to make you think that Spin Doctors is going to get killed outside.
Right.
And then she just did a bit about, it was kind of a fun bit. Like she and the kid had like good chemistry.
Yeah, yeah.
And then so like going to shut the closet, like that could have been like a legitimate surprise.
Right.
Right.
Especially since like things in horror movies, things aren't in closets anymore. It's always a fake out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that would have been really good if we hadn't saw it coming.
Yep, that was disappointing.
Yeah, the whole movie,
whole
was
movie is
fucking
disappointing.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this all fucking year.
Yeah,
For a while, yeah.
I was reading about John Carpenter being involved, and I remembered there was an interview with him where he was told by what's his name, Blumhouse guy.
Jason
Blum.
Yeah, I think he was told
Might
by
be
him.
Bloom.
He said
Yeah,
he
Bloom.
said basically the reason he was doing the score and producing is because he said to him "Hey, maybe just don't stop complaining and join us." And now I'm like, "Oh, I see why he was complaining."
Yeah.
He probably read the script and was like, "This is bad," and they're like, "Well, be a producer, do the music."
The music
was
is
good.
cool.
Yeah.
I
Music's
really like
great.
the music.
Yeah.
It's almost as if the music was done by a really creative person who should do more of the movie.
It was John Carpenter and his son plus a third person who are credited
Yeah.
as doing the soundtrack. So I don't think we can give it all to John Carpenter, but the score is really good.
Yeah.
They do like a couple of cool reinterpolations of the
And I swear to
original
God,
theme.
I'm going to try and find it Because I swear I read an article today that was like, stay through the closing credits.
Don't you dare fucking leave.
Was
There
it
is-
the breathing?
It's just the breathing.
Yeah.
Is it just the breathing?
I think that's them being like, he'll return. And it's like, oh, God, I hope you
that's
don't make
lame.
more of these.
I mean, they're going to.
well,
They're
yeah,
gonna
they
make
show
more.
at the end when he's set on fire, he's not there.
He's not there. I did like that shot.
Yeah.
Because, and this is something that it kind of touches on the best bad movie that you guys will hear tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know when this comes out.
This comes out Monday.
Oh, yeah, so tomorrow.
Where Dave is rambling about.
Yeah,
you can
me
see
talking
his
about
eyes.
Halloween H2O, there's a reason for that.
It's you can rambling about how you can see his eyes in the mask when they've locked him in the basement again for some reason, waiting till he's just beneath the trapdoor to unleash the spikes. I'm like, no, wait till he's got like his torso up or his face up in there.
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
fucking crank the spikes on his ass.
Yeah.
Also, so the plan was
to trap him in
to
the basement.
trap him down there. It feels like she didn't have to go up there and wave her gun
It's
around.
very dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She could have just been like, look, we're going to come down here and make a lot of noise, and there's a back fucking door that we're going to use. And when you wouldn't want to go out the way you came in. You'd want him to come down there, and then you leave another way and press a button, and everything shuts him down there.
You would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's had a lot of time to figure this out.
And the point that I was getting to is when they locked him in there and she sets off this thing that burns the whole house down, and the room ignites behind him. He's just standing motionlessly on the steps, and as it lights up, you can see his one good eye, and it's kind of angry,
Yeah.
which I thought that was a really good shot.
Yeah.
Like,
that was a good
But then
shot.
the mask made it look like he was just sad.
Right. But then there's like, it's a good shot, but like I was still thinking about the scene where the granddaughter stumbles through the woods into the
mannequins?
The mannequins, and there's just, it was like a comedic scene. They kept zooming on each mannequin,
Yeah.
and then she just screamed.
I
And it
didn't-
was like,
everything
what
about-
just happened?
there was, I kind of thought that was okay, and if I felt like they were kind of starting to lean in a Mr. Brooks direction, particularly with the very last shot.
oh, yeah,
where
with the daughter holding the knife.
Yeah, I was.
Oh,
so I
yeah.
was thinking the mid-credit scene was going to be like, oh, she's going to kill her stupid
Yeah.
boyfriend. Yeah,
Right,
because
which
she's
is-
learned violence from her violent mom and her violent grandmother.
Yeah,
And I
none of
hated
that.
having to see her run in that. They were Bonnie and Clyde for
but
Halloween.
gender swapped.
Yeah,
Right.
so she's running wearing these fucking suspenders and a tie, and no house will let her in. I'm like, go to a fucking improv theater. They will have you immediately
Let you on
dressed
stage
like
immediately.
that.
Oh, do you want to read this? We're doing
Yeah.
we're doing joke Shakespeare. If you want to get up here and read, you're already.
We're doing a
perfect for it.
Halloween table reading.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. One thing, this movie isn't clever.
No.
and it
No.
had like what I would have loved if I was writing this movie. That scene where Michael Myers is trying to break that kitchen island that acts as the barrier.
Yeah.
He would have just picked
Push
up that
the
fucking
button.
remote and hit the button. He knows how to drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is a remote control that goes to no other device in the history of the world.
Next to a
Right.
bank of
Yeah.
monitors, like
Yeah.
a bank of security monitors.
Fucking, if he had just picked up the remote and hit the button, I would have been like, oh shit, that's
would have been
so
great.
great.
Well, you could have stretched it out because like they just have him magically know that there's a secret room beneath that kitchen island. Like have him kind of look around at the monitors because he's gonna know what those are,
Right.
And then kind of start to piece it together. And maybe there's a camera down in the basement, and then he's like, oh, sees them all in
Yeah.
the basement, and looks and sees the clicker, and like you can have him down there being like, is he gonna figure it out? We fucking left the clicker up there. Why did we leave the clicker up there? Is he gonna
Why
figure it
did
out?
they leave the clicker
He's
up
gonna
there
be-
every time?
Click, and then it starts to
That would have
slide
been
over.
so great.
Would have been better than him just like muscling it over like a rhinoceros, like a 70-year-old rhino.
Oh, man.
such a missed opportunity.
Why
this
did
movie.
why this is I feel so dumb because when I heard this movie was being made and it had such specific things about it where they're like, okay, we're just gonna have the recognize the first movie, and these very unique people are going to make it, like Danny McBride and
David Gordon Green?
David Gordon Green, and so I just assumed it had a reason to exist. Like, I just assumed these people had something interesting they wanted to say about Halloween, but it really feels like the studio was like, looked at their watch and they're like, about time we make another Halloween.
Yeah.
And they were just like, hey, we'll do it. Like, it felt like the idea to make it. I had just assumed that the idea came before the decision to make the movie, but it really seems like they decided to make a movie and then they wrote it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this better or worse than the Rob Zombie reboot?
Man, at least the Rob
I
Zombie.
think the Rob Zombie reboot
At
is
least
significantly better.
At least
than
it
this shit.
added something.
Well,
Yeah.
I also
Like-
I would say, yeah, I was putting them on par in my mind because I don't really like either.
They're about on the same level to me, but I will say it like at least Rob
Yeah.
Zombie had an idea.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
at least it's weird. I want to say at least he rebooted it,
Yeah.
and just like left all the other crap alone, and just had it. Like it's weird. It's like had the respect not to be like, you know what, I'm gonna add to the lore, and like I hate that there's this weird thing where filmmakers are like, I'm going to make a sequel, but I'm going to ignore all of these, and I'm going to just do a sequel to this, and I'm changing the canon. And it's like, who the fuck are you to do any of that?
Yeah.
If you're going to fucking rewrite everything, just put your shitty little film over here as a remake.
Quiet, Brian Singer will hear you. We don't want him to hear you.
Wait,
We don't want Brian Singer to hear you and show up and be like, "Excuse me, I did that. I did that twice
No,
with
he
Superman and with X-Men." Get out of here, Brian Singer.
get.
There's
Yeah,
no
like-
teens here.
Like, you have to have it was the same with fucking, yeah. Because, like, people don't hate Halloween 2, I don't think. And, like,
I've never seen a single Halloween sequel except for Halloween 3.
okay,
Season
yeah.
of the Witch.
They're about on par with this. I would say they're better than this.
Yeah.
Because the
Oh, wait,
deaths
H2O, I've
the
seen.
deaths can be cooler, are often cooler. Like they show the deaths. They're more like a slasher.
I
Friday the
didn't
13th
get
type.
that. Why weren't they showing?
I can think of two reasons. One, to secure their R rating, because some of them were pretty intense, like
Yeah.
the aftermath. Two, for time. I read before we started recording that the original cut of this movie was 2 hours and 15 minutes.
I got a lot of impressions that something was missing here and there.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the director's cut of this will probably be phenomenal.
Hopefully. I didn't
don't-
mind
I don't
some of the
think it
kills
will,
being
though.
off screen. Like when we get the coolest part of the movie to me is when he first gets to the neighborhood, and I wish we would have spent more time in the neighborhood. Where it's a series of tracking shots just following him into one house, kills one lady. That first lady that he kills with a hammer, I didn't mind being off screen because you're like kind of it's sustained
Right.
in the
Oh,
hallway.
it's clearly meant to be off screen.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and it's like you can hear the sounds of it. It sounds terrible, and then he walks back in. The hammer is like soaked.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he just drops it and grabs a kitchen knife. I'm like, that's cool.
That-
but when he walks past the dead body, it's like somebody with like blood on their head. I'm like, her head should be caved in. We
Yeah.
heard her
Yeah.
hit him. We heard him hit her like 6 times with that hammer with his super strength.
That
Yeah.
sequence when he gets there, it reminded me of in The Lost World when the T-Rex gets to San Diego. Like, I wanted to see it. I kind of treated that same way, where it's just an epidemic of Michael Myers murdering people, just going house to house, just stabbing everybody.
They had
Yeah.
Because what else is he gonna do? What else does he want
That's
to
all
do?
he wants. That's all he
And,
wants in
yeah,
life.
I figured Laurie would like show up and be bait or something. But it was dumber than that. And even that idea I just threw out. It was kind of dumb.
Yeah, it's dumb. I wouldn't have been happy with that film.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened to the kid that was going hunting?
He
He got
like
his neck broke.
Oh yeah.
did he break it? I thought
yeah.
he just like knocked him unconscious.
Oh no, there was a neck break.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
What happened to the kid that was being babysat? He just
he
ran out.
Ran out.
He just ran out like a cat that'd been let out, and
Yeah.
like you never saw him again.
Well, he called
Yeah.
the police presumably
Right? Yeah, I'm sure that. Yeah, off camera
because
grabbed him
they
or whatever.
said something about calling the police, and he runs past. He's like, "Dave, you're
Right.
gonna get killed."
Remember when the
Dave
cop?
sure does get killed.
Remember when the cop sees Michael Myers on the street and he has a 2 civilians in his car, and he decides to drive into Mike Myers.
Yeah, he just
I love calling him Mike Myers.
rams him with his SUV.
That was insanity.
I was
Yeah.
really hoping they were going to pull that mask off and it was just going to be like a random black
I
citizen.
thought that's what it was gonna be.
Here's the thing that
you did it
happens.
now.
That happens in one of the Halloweens. It's my favorite part. Is Loomis, who's a maniac in the Halloweens, sees a guy in the mask on the street because they do the thing where everybody's dressed like
Yeah.
him because they want to spook, and he just nails him with the car, and he lights on fire, and they only find out like way later, like, oh yeah, that wasn't him, because they demolished this poor man so much that they couldn't tell for a while.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and it's fucking hilarious. Again, it really felt like there was a lot of moments that were like dumb 90s. The two cops, the two Like, oh, we're
with
gonna
their
the stakeout
conversation
cops
that's
with their,
straight out of Superbad.
yeah, where it was just
Oh,
like
yeah.
that reminded me of like Scream 2 with the cops when they're in protective custody. Like it just
And the one cop had a brownie and pudding for
Yeah.
lunch.
Just so that the guy could have the joke. That's what a 6-year-old packs for himself for
Yeah.
lunch.
Yeah.
It was like this. It was a super bad scene. It was randomly a scene from an Apatow production.
Yeah.
right.
I
In the middle
hated
of this
that
horror
dad
movie.
character who always had the jokes.
Yeah, he was another character from
so
an Apatow
pointless.
movie.
Yeah.
The dad.
Oh yeah,
The guy who's like
I
one
went
of his
back and
first
forth
lines
on
is
him.
I've got peanut butter on my penis.
I
And,
w-
and he says it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he just sort of gets strangled, and
that's
not even
another-
a cool kill.
It's another neck break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of just stabbings and neck breaks.
And the stabbings I don't mind when you got to see him.
The coolest
Yeah.
kill to me was the new Loomis.
Yeah.
When Michael's standing over him and he goes, "Say something!" And he just stomps his
Yeah.
skull with his boot.
His head explodes.
yeah, that was great.
That was pretty rad. If we had to lose a stabbing so we could see that in this R-rated film, I'm
Yeah.
okay with that trade.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would have. I wish he was like say something, and then he stepped on his head. Then Michael Myers just went like, and like walked away.
That I mean, I get why they didn't do it, but they build it up so much about like he hasn't spoken. We bet we can get him to speak, and it's like a lot. Have him say
know.
something.
I thought that was going to be the thing. Like
Yeah.
at the end, like
Right, have
he
him
and
say-
Lori were going to have a conversation.
Or he was just,
And that
maybe
would've-
not a conversation, but he would actually respond like one word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that would,
Balls.
yeah.
yeah. No, but again, there just wasn't a fucking reason for this movie. There was nothing happened.
None. There's none.
There's no arcs. There's no
just-
no lesson. There's nothing profound said about it.
He just says, "Maga."
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
I did want when he dropped the teeth to be like, I got you these.
You want these? I bet you can
You
make
want
them into a
these too?
necklace.
Yeah.
There's enough for a necklace.
But instead, he says nothing,
Yeah.
which is fine. He's
I mean,
not
it's
supposed
fine.
to,
But they build it up.
it
build it
seemed
up.
like that's what they were building up to.
Yeah, like he would say something.
I'm sure there was a version where they had him say something. I'm sure there was.
Yeah.
It's hard to like come up with what would be like a cool thing to have be the first and only thing he
At
says.
least just for him to cough. Just
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but like in all seriousness, like I will
Well,
give
the
him that
point
because
is-
it's hard to come up with something that he would say.
well, yeah. The point is that he doesn't say. He
doesn't say
You know.
anything.
It's,
Well, you
that's
have him.
the answer.
You handle it the way Planet of the Apes handled it. You just have him say no. Like if he just
that
said,
would be pretty good.
If he said if she was like, "Michael, come in," and he was like, "No," and just fucking murdered people, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Like just have him say no.
Yeah, sure.
Caesar said no, and it was cool.
Yeah. That was cool.
This movie needed some fucking monkeys. Is what it needed.
Oh hell
I
yeah.
could have.
Some
Yeah.
Killer
anything.
monkeys.
Anything.
I could have gone with Killer Monkey. Yeah. I could have fucked with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what
I wouldn't
what's
have minded if the fucking Predator showed up at one point. I
Yeah.
was like, by late in this
Oh.
movie, I was just like, come on, someone do something.
That's
Right.
the
Please.
other fucking scene. The automatic lights turning on and off. How did they fuck that up? Because they fucked that up when the drunk kid.
Good idea.
It's a good idea, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
done well. Like they have him like look over and he sees Michael Myers and he like talks to him, and then the lights like turn off, and then turn back on. He can't
Yeah,
find him.
Yeah.
And then he's in front of him, and that was like a decent shot. And it turns off, and I thought it was gonna like turn on, and he'd be like closer, or he'd be, but it just like him like stabby, and it
Like stabs and almost
and like
misses or something.
the editing
Yeah, he
beat or
slashes him.
something. Like it was such an it was one of those jump scares where I thought like even though I know it's coming, they could make me jump doing this, and they didn't.
Yeah.
Like it didn't work.
Yeah, that it should have been cooler. And
Yeah,
it
it should have been cooler.
like they could have just.
Should have been cooler.
I feel like Lights Out at least did that well, and I feel
That's
like
the only thing it did.
they
well.
could have. Look, that's basically the plot
Yeah,
of the movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is when the lights go out, the ghost gets closer.
Right.
They could have, just emulate a scene from that, and you would have done better. But
Man.
But no.
no, they didn't.
Fuck.
Instead, they let the guy from Tropic Thunder insert a lot of jokes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of jokes.
Bad jokes too.
Well,
Yeah, I
just-
mean inappropriate jokes.
Yeah, wildly out of so out of place that they're jarring in
But
this film.
If
Yeah.
they wanted to go over the top, like if they were like, we're going to make a Friday the 13th movie, but with Michael Myers, if we're going to make it ridiculous, that would have been fine. Because
Yeah.
that would have made me feel something. But like, they didn't do that. They just have like a couple funny and insane characters that you don't really feel anything for, and you're just waiting for them to die. And then even when they die, it's like, well, that wasn't that satisfying.
At least,
Yeah.
at least we got. I mean, it would have been nice to see it, but like the drunk kid who just ignores consent,
Yeah.
and gets stabbed on the fence. Like we see his dead body, and one of the fence poles has like gone up
Right.
through his
And it
jaw
was like,
and his
when did
face.
that happen?
Yeah, it's like fucking show us that happen.
No,
What
it,
are you
Yeah.
doing?
It really felt like I get the idea that they're cutting around to avoid an R, but like horror movies can be worse than this. Like they,
Silent Hill is worse than
yeah,
this.
like
Yeah.
it felt like at times it felt like they were cutting for a PG-13.
Right.
Like they were like, it was like some studio being like, look, if we can get this to PG-13, that would be great for us. And they like had to fight them or something because
Yeah,
they really didn't have, there was no claws. Like it was very,
it was very like
they pulled punches.
to elucidate my previous statement. Silent Hill features a sequence in which sentient tendrils of barbed wire crawl up a woman's vagina and
I
pull
remember.
her in half
Yes.
down the middle.
That's a thing.
And it is a movie that was released theatrically with an R rating. And I sat there and watched that happen. I was like, I didn't think they could get away with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot missing from this movie.
Yeah, it feels kid glovey. It's not clever. It has a few good ideas that just disappoint.
Yeah.
Like the idea of turning her, like the reveal's like, my house is in a cage. It's a trap. Like,
Yeah,
It-
that's
it
a
se-
moral struggle I didn't need.
Yeah.
well, it
didn't
just
give a
seems like
shit.
such. There was no plan to it. To like she had the thing where she had like security gates come down on each door so that they could funnel him into a specific area. But then it's like he still just sort of accidentally finds the basement, and there's no like good way out.
Right.
And he's Michael
It's a bad
Myers.
trap.
Like the Michael Myers I know would just tear those security gates off those doors.
Right, or just like fucking lift him up.
Yeah. He moved the entire island, which we see has like a steel door underneath it.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't just move that counter island in the kitchen. I should clarify. He doesn't like pick up a fucking
And he tips it over.
tropical island and throw it, but I wouldn't have been
Right.
surprised.
That would have been neat.
But not only does he move it, but he moves the steel door that's attached underneath it.
Yeah.
Like that takes some strength.
Yeah.
And then just these fucking plastic IKEA gates that she installed on her doors are supposed to be enough to funnel him to a different part of the house.
What a fucking disappointment. Again, fucking her chopping his head off in H2O. Such a better fucking climax than that awkward basement shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a real piece of shit.
Yeah, and it's got an
Like-
80%. I usually trust critics because they're professionals.
I think a lot of critics, particularly coming off that
That
variety
list
are very, very stupid when it comes to horror.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, and I get it, is that if your job is to watch a lot of movies, horror isn't for everybody. So if like,
It also doesn't hit the mainstream as often.
yeah, so if
Yeah.
you're like a mainstream critic, you're probably avoiding horror, and you might not know why horror is like what's good about horror, what to look for. That said, this is still a mess of a film. Like it's still like,
Yeah, it's a bad movie.
yeah. Like my mom who doesn't watch horror, if I made her watch this, she'd be like, that didn't make any sense. Like that,
Yeah.
you know, so it's just baffling. I think it's a hype thing around it. Maybe
A lot of hype.
they slapped John Carpenter's name on it, but I don't think he did much besides the music.
I think that's all he did.
Yeah. He has producing credit, him and Jamie Lee Curtis, but
Yeah, and I think the son of the original producer, Akkad,
yeah,
like Mustafa Akkad, I think was the producer on the original Halloween.
yeah.
Man, there was
It felt bad from the start. Like the moment he was saying, like he was yelling at him at the institution, they did a hard cut to the credits. I was like, this feels bad. Like
'cause
that felt bad.
they set up a thing that they don't do anything with. Like
Yeah.
they set up like do not buy like they're in the
Yeah.
they're in the prison yard and the dangerous guys are in yellow squares. They're
Right.
they're chained to like these anchors in the middle of these yellow squares, and he says do not under any circumstance cross that yellow line.
And he doesn't.
He just doesn't.
And he just yells
reaches,
at him.
He reaches his arm over with
Right.
the mask. I was like, that's going to be something because you set up the rules, don't
Right.
cross the yellow line, and you show him toeing the line, and then it's hard cut to the credits. I'm like, oh, so you're not going to do anything
Yeah.
like that.
Okay, so that scene
Okay.
didn't matter. at
Yeah.
all.
Like it's a movie about trying to get Michael Myers to talk, and they never do.
yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, you're right. That's the fucking arc of the film.
There are few characters. There is more than one character who is just the only thing they want in this universe is to get Michael to speak.
Right.
What a dumb fucking thing to center this movie around.
God.
God damn it.
And then not pay it off.
Yeah.
Fucking
That would have been
waste.
cool if he said one word.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm like when I was talking about it earlier. Like I'm there because that's like the only thing I could come up with is just have him respond to something like no.
Yeah.
just say no.
Just say no and then stab somebody, and we all would have been like,
Yeah.
that was neat. Still would have been a trash movie.
Right.
Yeah.
But at least some of it would have paid off. There was no payoff.
No, it
Like,
ends with like a girl crying in a car, and they like zoom in on the knife again,
Yeah.
like trying to imply that maybe
Well, there's
she's a killer, and
they
it's like, but not really.
they repeat two shots because again they kind of gently go in this direction, then don't commit to it. They repeat two shots from the original Halloween and replace Michael with Laurie.
Yes.
like when she's in when the
When
granddad's
she's
in
looking
class
at
and she
the
looks
class.
out.
Yeah.
Laurie's Crest
Which
Street.
they did in H2O already too.
Yeah, and then when she falls out of the window the same way Michael
Yeah.
does and lands on the ground,
Which-
and then Michael looks back and Laurie Strode's gone. I'm like, oh, they're setting up that she's gonna be
Right.
Michael.
But it was really just them going, "Hey, remember that?
Yeah,
Do
Yeah.
you remember?
all it was.
Yeah.
You guys remember this? Yeah,
There was a lot of that.
We do
Yeah.
remember that. It's one of the most iconic scenes in film
Yeah.
history.
Right.
Danny McBride,
That was
we
it.
get it.
Yeah, we got it. We do in fact remember this.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's this movie has nothing. Like it has no reason to exist.
No.
There was no good idea that provoked it. It was just I feel like I seem to remember reading that they were trying to do a Halloween reboot since like 2009. Since after the second Rob Zombie Halloween came
They had
out.
they were going to do Halloween 3D, which to be honest,
Probably would have been better.
yeah, probably would have been better.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie doing a 3D Halloween movie, or you know what? Anybody doing a 3D Halloween movie.
Although I will
Yeah.
say every single 3D horror movie I've ever seen has been wildly disappointing and they have no idea what to do with 3D.
yes.
Rob
That's-
Zombie
but I
needs the Halloween franchise back.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
maybe. I don't know.
or just I don't know.
Maybe just
man.
stop making them.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really seems like
Nothing
stop
to add.
making them. There's
Yeah.
nothing to say about it.
Yeah. And Laurie Strode says that in the film.
Yeah.
She's like, there's no greater understanding to have. You're not going to learn anything from this. There's
Right.
there's no new insight is going to be gained from this.
Right.
And,
And
she says it in like the second scene of the film. So it's like she's telling us
Yeah.
this is nothing.
It really
Yeah.
sure seems like they should have made a movie called Halloween H2O and then stopped making them after that.
I will agree with the second part of that statement is they definitely should have stopped making
Yeah.
this.
No, they should
Yeah.
have, after Halloween H2O, they should have fucking stopped. And regardless of what you think about Halloween H2O, they were like, okay, let's bring back Laurie. Let's do a final fucking standoff. Michael Myers is dead. He's dead. Move on.
Yep.
Like, I guess Rob Zombie could come back and fucking remake it, but like that in terms of that canon, in terms of that first film, they need to fucking stop,
Yeah.
and they won't.
Stop it.
Yeah,
Well, no, because this movie is doing super well, so we're going to see a sequel.
of course. Why is it doing well?
I don't get the critic I don't
critical
get the
response,
critical
yeah.
acclaim for this
I don't
movie.
get. Yeah, I don't
it makes
get
no sense.
either side. I don't know. I'm putting my head in like, okay, I'm a film critic and I'm judging this, being real judgy, or like I'm a guy going out on a date and just want to have a good time. Neither people in my head are having fun watching this movie.
I don't
Like
think
it was boring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think a film critic reviewing this now has seen a slasher movie in 30 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Yeah,
Like maybe since Scream.
Yeah.
Maybe since then.
yeah.
Because there really haven't been too many big ones. I doubt they're gonna like review something like the Friday the 13th reboot or like because
Right.
a lot of mainstream horror movies don't even get screened for critics
Yeah, that's true.
because a lot of them are trash.
That's true. Yeah, they're like children.
Mm-hmm.
They've never seen.
They're just spooked by everything.
Yeah. God, fucking damn it.
Yeah, this is a bad movie, you guys.
It's a bad movie.
I'm really bummed to say it, but
Yeah.
this is a bad
Me
movie.
too. I wanted it to be
Wanted
good.
it to be good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to tell people listening to this, like, just
Don't
see it.
Yeah.
Do not reward this movie.
Yeah,
It's not good.
man.
And if you go anyway, because you're like, well, I'm still curious. I still want to see it. You're gonna be disappointed.
You're
Yeah.
going to be really
Promise
disappointed.
you.
But I do want to hear from someone who really liked this movie and just hear why.
I'm gonna go
Yeah.
home and read like a couple of positive reviews so I can fucking get to the bottom
Yeah.
of this shit.
Yeah.
I know in one of the commercials, I saw they flashed a quote up that said a Halloween movie for the Me Too movement. And it's like, no, it's not.
What?
This movie is
No.
insulting
What a
to women, if anything.
stupid
Jesus
thing to
Christ.
say.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to go back to that fucking trash fire variety list by Variety's terrible film critic Owen Gleiberman, I think is his
Yeah.
name. It's a terrible list.
Yeah, for the context,
Terrible list.
Like Variety put out, and I felt so stupid. This all started from me seeing a list from Variety, 20 best horror movies of the last 20 years, and I thought like a jackass. Well, Variety is very credible. I'd love to see their definitive list of good horror movies. Like that sounds very
Or
fascinating.
like movies you might have missed.
Yeah, and I do that because I'm always like, what do I want to watch? What's
Yeah,
something
right.
I missed? And it's like Hostel 2. World War Z is on it. It's this jackass who's like just a contrarian, and it's like it's basically half a list of obvious movies.
Very
and half,
obvious picks.
Yeah, and half a list of like troll picks of him being like, well, actually, this is a great
Is Train to
movie.
Busan on the list?
No.
Nope. Fuck
No,
that
hell no.
list.
I'll tell you what it is.
Fuck that.
Paranormal Activity 3. Human Centipede 2.
Come
And again,
on.
World War Z is in the top 10.
In the top 10
For the last 20
and
years.
The rest
Bananas.
of it is very obvious mainstream horror, and then his number one is Get Out because of course.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
the very last line, this is the reason I'm bringing it up, is his last line of his write up for how good Get Out is. He says something to the effect of, I remember the last part exactly. The first part I'm paraphrasing, where he's like, and then like it's done in such a chilling way that we really feel what it's like to be stuck there in the sunken place. This is the verbatim part. When black lives don't matter. That's how this piece of shit ended his
That's
write up of
irritating.
Get Out. It's
That
like,
is-
what the fuck are you talking about?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
He probably wrote that stupid Me Too review.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that. Yeah,
That's weird.
this is a terrible movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is garbage.
I guess the only no. I'm not even gonna say that give that any kind of halfway. There's a guy who ignores consent and immediately gets punished for it.
Yeah,
But that's like every
that's
slasher
the closest
movie.
that's the closest
Yeah.
to Me Too. But it really doesn't have anything to do with
No, it
that.
has nothing to do with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
And
I would
that's
say
just
Get Out. At least Get Out is like has like a actual social message in it,
yeah.
and but this doesn't. This isn't
Like,
like I don't think this was intended.
I was
to.
just commenting on the fundamental.
Oh, yeah,
to be
no,
like when
how
Black
bad-
lives do.
Yeah, no, that's-
it's like oh my
Oh,
god,
yeah,
shut up.
And the guy like ignoring consent and then immediately getting murdered. That's cool, but it's also like that's like a classic horror movie
It's a
thing
horror
where you
trope.
fall
Yeah, it's
outside
douchebag.
society's norms and you get fucking killed for
Yeah.
it. And that's a new norm now. You're not supposed to be that way to women, so you get killed for it. That doesn't make this a Me Too movie.
It's also
Yeah.
a Miramax movie.
Yeah,
And they're like, it's a movie for the Me Too movie. It's like, get fucked.
yeah.
Also,
Also,
it's
that's
a
not,
fucking Miramax
Oh
movie.
man.
and that's not like a modern. That's not that scene wasn't even like a modern.
No, that's
take.
been
I would see that scene in the '80s of a guy.
yeah.
like,
Friday the 13th Part 3. Shelley.
Yeah.
yeah.
Shelley's a troll who
Gets
thinks he's
murdered, yeah.
owed sex and immediately gets punished for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just nothing here.
It's a bad film.
It's very bad.
The balls, by the way, of that Miramax logo.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Guys, don't.
Yeah.
I think they added a thing in the bottom that says like it's a new
Yeah,
company.
It's like it's not the Weinstein Company. I'm like, it kind of doesn't matter.
yeah, they're trying to do like roll it back out.
Rename
But
that
it's,
shit.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
rename it. Oh no.
Wow.
Oh God.
It's like Volkswagen being like, you think people are going to remember? Nah.
Fuck.
Yeah, do not see this film.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Maybe catch it if it's on Prime for free, and then you'll
yeah,
see what we're talking about.
It's almost
Yeah.
worth free. It actually felt like halfway through I was thinking like, man, I got things to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a movie that if I wasn't watching it for this, I might have walked out when the cop hits him with the car. That sequence and the psychiatrist goes crazy. That was when I was like, man, I'm all set.
The part for me was, oh, you're the new Dr. Loomis.
Right? Yeah, that was pretty fucking funny.
I left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not long before that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyone have any final thoughts?
Fuck this movie.
Yeah,
fuck
just
this
don't see
trash.
it. I
It's a
don't know.
trash fire.
What a bummer.
Adam, thanks so much for coming and watching this movie
Hey,
with us.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. It was lots of fun.
What do you want to
It was
plug?
fun hanging out, at least.
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
That's true.
We just saw a terrible movie.
Yeah.
Never before have I been so conscious of the passing of time. And
Never-
I mean,
but
that's
in
not
those-
true.
we
Never
were in the
before
nice
have I been
recliners.
so let down by something I was looking forward
Yeah.
to.
Those
Yeah,
were nice
it's a-
recliners.
Yeah, the AMC Prime recliners.
Oh yeah.
Pretty
yeah.
dope.
That
Yeah.
was great.
They're pretty fucking great.
What do you want to plug?
Unpops.com, patreon.com/unpops, all that thing, all that stuff. And also we have a live Unpops October 27th at the Hollywood Hotel. It's a PUI episode, which means performing under the influence, where we come out and do comedy sober, and then we get fucked up and go record a live podcast. And so everyone should come to that. It's
Excellent.
the 1-year anniversary of our live show at the Hollywood Hotel.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's this was super fun.
Go to that instead of seeing.
Do that instead of watching this.
Oh,
goddamn
Please
watch H2O instead of watching.
Don't
this.
do that. Don't do that.
watch the Rob Zombie reboot.
H2O.
Yeah, and check out our Patreon, Gamefully Unemployed on Patreon, and we have T-shirts. TeePublic.
Yeah.
Search for Gamefully Unemployed on TeePublic. You can find some sweet T-shirts.
Some
T-shirts.
sweet teats.
Give us some scratch there.
Yeah, and
All right.
watch Halloween H2O.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that last
Rob Zombie remake.
time. Maybe do that more. I don't know. I'm washing my hands of this conflict.